Look, I don't like this.
Yo,
So,
I'm KBHD here. Welcome to your first look and hands-on with the Nintendo Switch 2. And this is everything you need to know. It's obviously one of the hottest and most anticipated new consoles in a
the controller look exactly like the Nintendo Switch one. Like there's few difference in the looks of the buttons, but I swear it's the same controller. Like what?
long
I'm
time.
just saying.
So when Nintendo invited me to this little hands-on in New York City with a few other YouTubers, obviously, I said yes. So the first Switch, I don't know if you remember,
But
came out
it's
in
look really cool.
2017.
The
So
that
naturally, almost a
device
decade
itself.
later, there's a bunch of stuff that people, including myself, a mere casual, have been waiting for this to be updated. And spoiler alert, they basically, I think, hit every single one of those things, but there is one big asterisk kind of overhanging all of it. So, general form factor wise, this shape, very familiar. It looks like a Switch. Like you've probably already seen the images online, but it is noticeably bigger. So it's the same thickness as the first generation, but it
Okay.
feels thinner because everything's kind of spread out more. It's bigger. The body's bigger, the Joy-Cons are bigger, and it's mostly driven by this big new screen. So it's now a 7.9-inch display up front.
Look, I don't like this. Like this black bars. I really hate them. Like the device look very cheap with them. I think they will produce like an OLED version and they will remove this shit. But oh my god, they
Up
are
front,
so
22.
thirsty for money.
And this is still an LCD, but it's now a 1080p variable refresh rate LCD that gets up to 120 hertz, and it just looks so much better than the original Switch. It looks plenty bright to me too. It supports HDR as well.
Hey,
Notably, it's
nice.
not an OLED though, so it doesn't have the perfectly
Yeah,
inky
that's really
blacks or the battery
obvious.
life advantages that come with an OLED. I do kind of think that we're eventually also going to see a Switch 2 OLED. I think that makes sense. It'll probably be in a few years. There's probably also going to be a Switch 2 Lite in a few years as well. Doesn't mean you have to wait for those. It's just something to keep in mind in the back of your head. But yeah, I'm definitely loving the variable refresh rate up to 120 hertz. Every game they're showing here takes advantage of it. You know how iPhone defenders always love to say, oh, people can't tell the difference between 60 and 120 hertz. It's no big deal. But, high refresh rate and gaming go hand in hand. So I think a lot of people will appreciate the smoother games and potentially also the smoother UI that comes with it. So the screen is the biggest improvement. Now there are some other, nice quality of life improvements here, like the full width kickstand that lets you prop it up at a pretty wide variety of angles, including almost all the way down, similar to the Switch OLED. But they added another port up to the top as well. And that makes it easier to charge while the console's kind of sitting on a table or something, since that was a pain before. And it's also perfect for the additional USB Type-C accessories,
The device itself looks really clean. Not gonna lie,
which I'll get to in a
looks
second.
really really clean.
But I think the other obvious biggest upgrade is the new Joy-Cons. So many things are better about these
Okay.
new Joy-Cons. First of all, they are bigger, like everything else, which ergonomically is very welcome. The left and right sticks are larger too. There's a new C button down here for game chat, which I will also get to in a second.
Okay.
And then they
I
connect
just
to the main console
I
with
wondered what this
magnets
button
in a
does.
really satisfying way. They basically just slap right onto the side and line up automatically, no slide necessary. Love a good magnet. You get them off by holding this release button here, which is literally just a lever that pushes the Joy-Con off the side of this Switch. And I think it's really nicely calibrated. If you just touch the release button but don't pull, the Joy-Con actually
Like, guys, I have the Nintendo Switch one. It's my brother. It's my brother device, but I played with this device a lot. I mean, the Nintendo Switch one, the original Nintendo Switch. The device itself, it's really good. I mean, the OLED version. I have the OLED version. Playing with this device feel really nice. I hope Nintendo will keep this up with this version because it looks cool, but I don't know about the UI and the other stuff. I heard that the game will be above $90 or something like that, which is really expensive. So
pushes off but then snaps right back on because the magnet is so strong. But if you release and pull, then it just pops off really easily, and then you can snap it back on whenever you want with a nice click. Now, the neat thing is Most of the Joy-Con is still made of plastic to be lightweight, but at the top here, these SR and SL buttons, first of all, they are way bigger than last gen, but they're also actually made of the metal that the magnets in the console are attracted to. They're steel buttons. So that's why the connection between the Joy-Cons and the Switch are so strong. It's that metal right there. My only worry here is actually just durability. So you can see when you pull that Joy-Con off, you can see these pins on the Switch,
Oh, this will
and I
work.
kind of
This
wonder
will break.
how many little kids are going to bend those pins. Like there is a tiny bit of wiggle actually built in to hopefully make it not snap too easily, but yeah, there's no way to tell until they start shipping these to real people and we start seeing the stories rolling in, but I'm going to keep an eye on that. Oh, and there's also stronger feeling haptics. They're called HD Rumble 2. The Rumble Pack is directly attached to the plastic in the back of the Joy-Cons. They feel nice and strong, a little bit more precise too, so that's really nice. And then lastly, each Joy-Con can also be used as a mouse in supporting games. I did not see this one coming. It's kind of interesting.
I think there's a device called Lenovo Legion Go mouse. There's a device that uses the same shit from Lenovo. It's a handler PC. So yeah, just saying.
Idea, but basically, there's a small optical sensor on the side of the Joy-Con. So if you turn that Joy-Con horizontally and place that sensor down on a table, you can move it around like a mouse, even rotate it, and that acts as yet another input method that apparently certain games will work pretty well with. I was doing this demo of a wheelchair basketball game, and so it ended up being pretty intuitive. You kind of hold the triggers and push forward, and you would move forward in the game. Never would have thought it would work so well, but there's a good amount of sensitivity. Apparently, you
Okay,
can do this while
really
swiping
interesting.
forward on your jeans and your lap too, if you wanted to. Other surfaces should work as well. In the Nintendo Direct live stream, they also showed this other golf game where you move the putter around and rotate it and then make a stroke using the mouse motion, all on a table like a mouse. So, yeah, I guess that makes sense. We'll see what other games end up using this control. Now, we didn't get a whole lot of other specifics like the chip it's running or even how much RAM it has, which admittedly, a lot of Switch buyers just don't care about. But one big spec that they did improve is they've gone from 32 gigs of storage on the original Switch to 256 gigs of storage, and the storage is faster. So I definitely appreciate this. You can see my
Oh,
Switch home.
that's is really good. Like, holy shit! I buy like imagine buying a device for $300 or $280. I don't know how much the Nintendo Switch One right now is, and it's only have 4 or 6 gigabyte, like maximum maybe 32 or something like that. I don't really remember. And you gotta buy a memory. That was really, really, really annoying. Just say that. Just let me
Home
say
screen
that.
behind me. I could only fit 3 games on my Switch because one of them was Rocket League and it was like 17 gigs. But I also think this will directly relate to how much larger Switch 2 games will probably be. So 256 gigs will feel in line with the larger file sizes, bigger textures, higher resolution, and all that. Switch 2 games will probably also be bigger too. So thankfully, there is still micro SD card support. It lives right
Oh
here
my
under the
god, the
hinge
device is
again,
really
and you
cool.
specifically have to get a micro SD express card to
Yeah.
play games off it on the Switch 2. But I think generally they'll be pretty easy to find. I already saw Lexar is going to be making a 1 terabyte micro SD card just for the Switch 2, so that Switch isn't a Switch without the dock, and the new dock supports 4K resolution out to a TV. Love to see that. There's actually also
Oh,
a
the duck.
fan in the Switch 2 dock that turns on while it's docked, so while it's cranking out that extra resolution, it doesn't get too hot. But from there, I feel like all of the new software features have a bit of a theme. This Switch 2 feels like a much more social console. Like I think Nintendo saw a ton of success with the original Switch and started thinking about more ways to make it a better experience because now there are going to be groups of people where several of them have a Switch. So when you hit that new C button on the Joy-Con, it brings up this
Yeah,
little
yeah.
menu
We
called
talked
Game
about that
Chat.
previous.
So they didn't let us do this in the demos that I
It's
tried
more
today,
like a
but in
Discord for
Nintendo Direct,
Nintendo
you can see
Switch.
the idea is
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
have some friends on other Switches gaming at the same time as you can all turn your mics on and talk to each other. or even turn screen sharing on to see each other's gameplay
Discord.
live, which is cool. I know a lot of people do FaceTime while gaming and kind of want to combine the whole experience. So I personally probably wouldn't do this, but I totally get it. And it's funny, it was actually refreshing seeing this in Nintendo's official footage. You can see the gameplay from other people as you're watching it is it's kind of laggy and it's kind of low resolution, but it's totally fine. Like this makes me believe more that what we're seeing here is exactly how it'll look. Like Nintendo didn't want to make any
That's
fake
really bad.
promises like, "Oh, it'll be 1080p when you watch other people game." But hey, at least you'll have an idea of what's going on in their screen, so that's cool. But not only that,
Nah,
if you
bro,
get
that's not
this
good.
optional accessory here, which is called the Switch 2 camera, this little thing plugs into
Like
that top
webcam?
port on the Switch when you're docked, or I think you can even plug it straight into the dock itself. And when you point it at yourself, it can automatically cut you out from the background and put your face next to your gameplay. So it literally feels like a gaming version of a Zoom call or something. Like everyone can see their friends' faces and their friends' reactions to the games in real time. And some games will
That's
even
cute.
integrate that
That's
feed a
cute,
little
but
more, like
I
putting your
don't think
face
they
over
will
where
buy
an
that
avatar
shit.
would normally be.
It's not
It's
that
like video
important.
chatting while playing a game. It's not going to be the highest fidelity thing ever, but
Yeah.
it'll be a sort of extra layer on top and makes it feel more social. So game chat is cool when you're in multiple different places, but there's also going to be situations where multiple people are all gaming in the same physical place with switches. And so they built a feature just for that, which is being able to share a game with other people who don't have it yet, up to 3 other people. So one Switch 2 is the host, and then up to 3 other Switches, they don't have to have the game installed at all. It's just one guy goes, "All right, guys, I'll have this game. We're all going to play it in the same room." And every one of you now temporarily has this game, and you can play your own perspective of the multiplayer or whatever without
Is that will work with every game? Because I feel like it's only gonna work with the shitty games.
having to buy or
Just let
install
me say
the whole
that.
thing at
That's
that
really
moment. I'm not sure
disappointed.
exactly how long it'll take to set up
Disappointment.
or like
That's a huge
exactly which games will
disappointment.
support it, but a Switch 2 can host, and then up to 3 other Switches can join. It's called Game Share. I like it a lot. And then actually, speaking of games, there's basically going to be 3 types of games for the Switch 2. There will be native Switch 2 games. And those are the ones that are the most optimized and should look the best with the best graphics, potentially taking the most advantage of the extra features and game chat and mouse controls. Then there will be Switch 1 games, some of which will be compatible with the Switch 2, just might not look as good. And then there will be Switch 1 games that get kind of remastered or updated for the Switch 2. So, like a Switch 2 version of the game. So, hopefully, you don't have to pay a full price for a whole new game. You'll pay a smaller amount for an updated version of the game for the Switch 2. But I think that pretty conveniently brings us to the big asterisk hovering over all of this, which is pricing. See, the Switch 2 is going to start off at $449 in the US.
Holy.
Now, I've seen mixed reactions to that price. Obviously, the Switch 1 was amazing. It was $300, but that was almost 10 years ago. So now
I think. I think Lenovo Legion Go is much more cheaper. Like and give. Nah, it's more expensive. Don't worry. But I think there's a device called ROG Ally price. Yeah, you can buy ROG Ally, and this device is really good. Like, it's better than the Switch 2. Just me say that.
new specs and updates and inflation and tariffs and all of that, to me, actually makes $449 feel like a pretty reasonable price. The Switch 2 camera accessory is $50. Feels about right. There's also a new Switch
Okay,
2
not
Pro
that bad.
controller with new back buttons, plus a headphone jack, and of course the added C button. That'll be around $80. But then there's
What am I so? What am I seeing? This shit is really expensive, and it's fucking low quality controller. This is really expensive, guys. Guys, you have no fucking idea how this shit is really expensive. I can buy a PlayStation 4 controller with, but it's a copy version, not the original version, with $20, and it's will be better than this shit. This shit we have this shit, and it's really, really, really low quality. It's not bad, but it's really low quality. It's definitely not worthy of $80. Like this shit is, I don't know, bro.
Game pricing is where they start to lose people a little bit. It's reported that Switch 2 games are going to be around $80 just for a digital download Switch 2 game. $90 if you want the physical version. That definitely feels really high. There are so many great PC and console games and even Switch 1 games in the store in like the $50 to $60 range right now. NBA 2K25 is like my staple for an expensive game. That's $70 on the PS5. So pushing that up again, 80 to $90 for a Switch 2 game does feel kind of like it's pushing it.
That's a robbery.
And then they also announced this really smart looking demo game called Welcome Tour that basically walks you through all of the features and lets you demo everything and really get to know the Switch 2 well. Kind of reminds me of
That's cool.
Astro's Playroom on the PlayStation 5, which did the exact same thing, helped you learn what the DualSense controller was capable of. And that was free. That actually came pre-installed on the PS5 at launch. And Nintendo has even done Wii Sports in the past, which was a free demo game that came on the Nintendo Wii and low-key turned out to be one of the greatest games of all time. The Nintendo Switch 2 demo game, though, is paid. It's not included for free. It's going to be like 10 or 20 bucks or something like that in the store. But even just having it paid at all to me seems like a huge miss. That's going to be so many people that are not going to experience it, that are not going to be able to fully walk through it and understand and get to know their Switch 2 because no one's going to go buy that demo game. I don't know what they were thinking there. Other than that, though,
Yeah.
the Switch 2 seems pretty sweet. Not gonna lie, I really like it. There's a reason the original Switch was one of the best selling consoles of all time. It was well priced, great form factor, very versatile. For me, the perfect airplane game console. I would say the signs are pointing to Switch 2 also being really good again. But there are also definitely some things we still don't know. Like, for example, we obviously don't know the chip and the RAM. We do know it's confirmed that there is some amount of DLSS happening. I would assume that to do 4K on a TV, there's some amount of upscaling happening. We just don't know exactly.
Yeah, I had enough. Definitely gonna buy this. I hope I'm gonna buy this. It's look nice, but I'm afraid too. Like Nintendo's really douchebags sometimes. I there is a device. It's look really interesting. I don't know if it's in the market right now. Called it's an Acer handler PC. Like this is really cool too. Uh, well, it is. What's it called? And handheld PC. Yeah. This it looks really nice and it's much powerful, but it's really expensive. Let me just type price. It's look really expensive. Yeah, that's a lot. 1,100 dollars is not cheap at all. You know, so Switch is much cheaper than this, but this is worth like it's a really good device. So